largely overshadowed by the Olympics, I think. But for me, the shootings in Colorado and in Wisconsin loom large. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of learning details of yet another senseless attack. I'm tired of making requests to God to comfort those whose lives have been torn apart by something that shouldn't have happened in the first place. I'm tired of wondering when the next one is coming. But most of all, I'm tired of feeling like the problem has never been fixed. Tired of feeling the sense that justice lasts only until the next time someone picks up a gun. It's good to confess, I think. It's good to speak with this group that we have fallen short, as individuals and as a community. And it's good to hear that we are forgiven, that our slate has been wiped clean. But right now, it just isn't enough. Today, it seems humanity doesn't need to be saved from sin. Today, humanity needs to be saved from ourselves. This is a dark place to be. But it isn't a new place. Jesus, I think, experienced the same thing, the same frustration with humanity. He even gives voice to it in the Gospel of Matthew, saying, "You faithless and perverse generation, how much longer must I be with you? How much longer must I put up with you?" And it goes beyond that. Jesus isn't just frustrated with humanity. Jesus became the victim of the human system gone awry. The judicial murder of Jesus, I think, is the prime example of humanity's attempt to employ violence to stamp out the truth. And the aftermath of that event is rich in detail about the divine-human relationship. God has seen the heart of human wickedness. God has been the object of it. God has seen us abuse one another and kill each other for profit, for power, out of the fear that our systems will be disrupted. God has experienced that darkness firsthand. And amazingly, God reacts not with anger and revenge, but with love. Love. And God also reacts with renewed commitment to developing a saving relationship with all human beings. God overturns the sentence that the powers that be have pronounced on Jesus in his resurrection. And as soon as Jesus is raised from the dead, God redoubles his effort to save humanity from itself. And he does this in the way that Jesus lays out for us in today's gospel. We've been reading from John chapter 6 for a few weeks now. We read the story of the feeding of the 5,000 and Jesus crossing the Sea of Galilee on foot. And now we're into this section where Jesus is talking about things much more theological. And he makes very clear today that Jesus has not come to earth to do some sort of mass-feeding parlor trick. Food and health are important, don't get me wrong. But Jesus has come to earth for much more than that. He's come here to connect us to the life that can only be found in God. And Jesus' words on this occasion reveal something about how it is that God saves us. Summed up, I think, by his saying, "I am the bread of life." These words are, of course, deeply figurative. They speak to us about Eucharist, about gathering around this table to share in the body and blood, and the bread and wine that are for us Jesus Christ. part of his life and words. And these words, I am the bread of life, are also deeply literal. God, in Jesus, is giving the divine life away for the sake of the world. God feeds us with his own life, with his own self. We see that as Jesus goes to the cross and is killed. We see it in the words of forgiveness he offers to those who execute him. We see it as he and his disciples, and as we, the Christian community, gather at the table. We see it in the life, the spark each of us has inherited from God. When God became incarnate in Jesus, God got busy giving himself away for the sake of the world. God got to work saving humanity from itself. And as God does that, God asks us for our active participation. He makes sure to make quite clear that salvation is ours, that we aren't to worry about it because it's been taken care of. And now that we've been fed on divine food and empowered by this God, now we are asked to be active participants in the world's transformation, to help it move from violence and darkness into the light and love and peace that can only be found in God. Unfortunately, I don't know how that happens. The exact course of the world's salvation is a mystery, as is its timing. But what is clear to me is that our involvement is critical. God asks us to do what we can to make this world a better place. And we are given the power to do so, or to stand in its way. On Wednesday mornings, we've been reflecting on the first chapters of Genesis. And we spent an hour going back and forth about what the story of human beings in the Garden of Eden meant. What did it mean for us to take the fruit of the knowledge of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and to eat of it? We've been given free will by God to help his processes along or to stand in their way. I don't know how it is that we go about preventing the next tragedy. I do know that Christians are called to try. That we are called to work to end suffering as best we can, and to put a stop to tragedy before it happens. Christians are called to do something that makes Episcopalians a little uncomfortable, and that is to engage in the political process, to speak to secular leadership, and to take our places there, not to hijack the process, not to throw other faiths under the bus, claiming that our way is the only and right way, but to work with all other people to make this world better right here and right now. God has given away his life to save us. God has fed us on his very life. And as we gather around this table to take that bread, to take that nourishment, we are called to do as God has done for us, to offer ourselves for the sake